This is an AZCourtHelp Legal Talk on the Foster Care Review Board, filmed in June 2023. Thank you.
My name is Joya Cade, and I am the Marketing, Recruitment, and Retention Specialist with the Foster Care Review Board. And I'm here to give an overview of the Foster Care Review Board and bring awareness to the Foster Care Review Board in your community. So the Foster Care Review Board originated over 40 years ago, back in 1978, as a check and balance in the child welfare system due to the concern that children were languishing in care too long and that services were not being provided. The FCRB is a statewide program, and we have boards in all of Arizona's 15 counties. Maricopa County hosts the most with over 54 boards. And then there are smaller counties such as Apache County, which hosts one board. A board is established for every 100 children that is needed to be reviewed. So FCRB, the regions are split up into two regions. We have the Phoenix region, which is encompassed of Apache County, Coconino, La Paz, Maricopa, Mojave, Navajo, Yuma, and Yavapai. In the Tucson region, it's comprised of Cochise County, Gila, Graham, Greenlee, Pima, Pinal, and Santa Cruz. The role of FCRB is to review cases of children subject to a dependency and in out-of-home care. We provide recommendations to the Juvenile Court, DCS case managers, biological parents, attorneys, placement, and other interest parties regarding services and permanency. Each board consists of 5 citizen volunteers from across the community. Each board reviews approximately 60 to 75 cases during a 6-month period. So that equates out to about 10 to 14 cases per month. The board reviews the same cases every 6 months until permanency is achieved. So when we're looking at permanency, we have permanency goals that we're looking to achieve. The first is family unification. Then we have adoption. We also have guardianship, and we have independent living. So depending on what those requirements are and what permanency goal you're looking after is what will be making our recommendations for. And we do like to note that over 50% of children in foster care do return home to their families under the family reunification permanency goal. So some statewide statistics. The Foster Care Review Board has about 109 boards and 545 volunteer positions. The Foster Care Review Board volunteers review the cases of just under 10,000 children every 6 months. And this means that the FCRB reviews the cases of over 20,000 children per year. So when we're looking at Maricopa, guess how many children that are in Foster Care Review Board in Maricopa? So there are 4,869 children in care in Maricopa at this time. Do we know how many children are in care in Greenlee County? There are 2 children in foster care in Greenlee County. So going back to when I was saying that Maricopa hosts the most of 54 boards, and then we have our smaller counties like Greenlee who only have 2 children in care. So when we're preparing for a review board, 3 weeks before a scheduled review, invitations will be mailed out with the Zoom information to the biological parents, grandparents, DCS case managers, placements, etc., and other interest parties. The only required participant is the DCS case manager. Everyone else has the option to be encouraged to attend the board reviews. So although placements are not required, we like for them to attend because they have the children in their care 24/7, and they best know the children at this time. So we're looking for them to speak on the children's development, how they're doing health-wise, how is their education, how are their behaviors, their likes, dislikes, etc. We also like the biological parents to also participate in the reviews in order to know what services they are participating in, what inhibitors there are to participating in services, and if they have any concerns. We also give them the opportunity to use the form to clarify any discrepancies they may have within the case. The interest parties have plenty of ways to participate in the reviews. We attend all reviews by Zoom, so they're able to participate by Zoom, or they're able to participate by phone through the Zoom application. They can email, call, fax, or mail in a statement. We have the numbers here where they can participate and mail in their statements or call in for the Phoenix region as well as the Tucson region. And if any participants are planning to use any of these methods, especially emailing or calling or faxing or mailing in a statement to the reviews, we ask them to do so 2 to 3 business days prior to the review. So we're able to get those statements to the appropriate board as well as the appropriate program specialist. So on the review day, the participants' statements should address services and progress towards the permanency goal. The participants can talk about the physical well-being of the child, their development status, their academic status, and behavioral health concerns. Parent participation is also discussed in statements as well, along with any specific age-related discussion points, such as how a child interacts socially and how a 17-year-old is gearing up for the young adult program. So we want to make sure that when they're providing statements that we're getting a full picture of what's going on in the case as well as going on with the child that's in care. So the board considers all of the information provided and makes recommendations to the juvenile court as well as the case participants. So not only are we using the information from the interest parties that are providing statements, the board also reviews information that is provided to us by the courts. We get court minute entries, we get the case management information or progress reports. We also receive individual education plans, so we know what's going on with them in school. We can also take a look at behavior, your therapist notes, or any of those types of information that's pertinent to the case, so we can get a huge picture of what's going on. So children can attend reviews. Most children do not attend due to school, and we do adhere to a statute that states that we do not take children out of school for the reviews meetings. However, if they do attend, we allow them to provide their statement, and then we excuse them from the review meeting. We do this because we do not want to re-traumatize the children when we're discussing as to why they came into care. So children, if they do not wish to attend the meetings, they can provide a statement, as I stated before, through email, Zoom, or they can go to our website, www.azfcrb.org, to submit a statement as well. So on the review day, the FCRB is an open forum. It gives the opportunity to share what's working and not working in a case. So a lot of times when interest parties such as biological parents or foster parents or the child or anyone that's involved that's other than the DCS case manager or the attorneys, they do not always have the opportunity to provide a statement. So the FCRB is that venue to allow for them to provide a statement, to voice their concerns when sometimes they're not given the opportunity to do so. During our review days, we do not allow any sideboard conversations. So when we're going through our reviews, we do not allow any continued conversation about that review or that case once that case is closed. We would like to make sure that we're maintaining integrity and transparency when we're reviewing our cases. So we do not allow any other information provided to us once that review has been closed and that review is complete and we have moved on to another case. The board completes the findings and recommendations in front of the case participants. So when we talk about findings, we're talking about questions, a list of 10 questions that the volunteers, along with the program specialists, are required to answer to help them make their recommendations. And when we're answering those questions, we use alphanumerical numbers to answer those questions. And we do our best to make sure that we are going over those answers when we're going through those questions so that the interest parties understand what we're saying and what we're recommending. And if they do have any questions during that time about the findings or the recommendations, they can definitely ask that question. So why do judges wear robes? So during the court hearings, and when you see judges in their respective places, they wear robes to project neutrality and transparency. In a sense, this is what the FCRB does as well. We promote neutrality and transparency due to the fact, again, we are the checks and balances between the child welfare system. So we're not attached to the juvenile courts. We're not attached to DCS. We're the middleman, the neutral party that makes sure that everyone is on one accord and that the agenda of reunifying or whatever the permanency goal is being achieved and that services are being appropriately provided for the child as well as the families. So when we're making a recommendation report, the court is not required to order the board's recommendations. However, the court holds a high regard for the board's recommendations. For example, in one county, the court required the FCRB to facilitate 3 reviews a year, and it did not schedule the next court hearing until it knew when the FCRB review was scheduled. Another example, at times it is noted that in the court minute entries that the judge has considered FCRB's recommendations, or the judge has ordered the DCS case manager to implement any of the recommendations that have been provided in the recommendation reports. The case participants also receive a copy of the FCRB's recommendation report, as well as the DCS case managers, attorneys, the judges, the foster parents, the biological parents, any interest parties will receive a recommendation report. We utilize a CCC list that we understand packs a powerful punch. When we're going through our CCC list, we CC supervisors. So the DCS case manager supervisor will also get a list. We CC attorneys, and any other supervisors or licensing agencies that are participating in the reviews. For example, biological parents who start working the case plan will sometimes do so if they are lacking and has slow going when participating in services. They will do so once they see FCRB's recommendations. And sometimes the Foster Care Review Board is the first people to recommend termination of the parental rights. So sometimes when they do see that we have that recommendation, the biological parents would start participating in services to hopefully reunify with their children, and they're able to participate in services up until the parental rights have been terminated. So when the Foster Care Review Board volunteers are going through cases, we want to make sure that their opinion matters. They will not always know that they're making a difference, but it's not always about winning. The FCRB is one of the numerous spokes in the wheel that circles around foster children in need. So we have, along with the FCRB, we have the juvenile courts, we have DCS, we have behavioral health services. So we're only the one entity that's an array of services or providers that are helping these children and helping these families. But we do at times when we're having a good day and we have a case that a child has been on our caseload for many years, finally goes home, or the adoption has finally been finalized, that is a good day. That is a win. And that's what we strive for when we're volunteers and we making these recommendations and helping to advocate and support the children and family that are in care. So who can be a volunteer? Volunteers can be an array of people. They can be retirees, homemakers, firefighters, school teachers, astronauts, anyone that's interested in the welfare of children that are in foster care. The FCRB and the presiding appointing judges try to ensure that each board represents the socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic groups of the county it serves. For those individuals who work for the Department of Children's Services or DCS, and those who work for the Juvenile Court cannot be volunteers. However, other court employees, depending on what department they work in, will be assessed on a case-by-case basis if they're wanting to become a volunteer on the foster care review board. So what are the qualifications when you want to become a volunteer? First off, we would like for you to be interested in helping Arizona's children that are in foster care. You must be 21 years old. The volunteer must be able to pass a fingerprint background check. The volunteer must be able to work 1 weekday per month from 8:30 to 5 p.m. The volunteers will attend a new board member orientation, and then they are required to complete 6 hours of training each year. Once the potential volunteers complete the application process and observe a board, they are appointed by the presiding juvenile judge in each county. Furthermore, active CASA, which are court-appointed special advocates, volunteers, they do not need to be fingerprinted if they are active as a volunteer because they have also gone through a fingerprint background check, and we can utilize that background check for if they want to become a foster care review board volunteer. However, depending on the court, especially in some of the smaller counties, individuals who are CASA volunteers cannot be a volunteer for the foster care review board and vice versa. So depending on your county, like for example, Yuma County, if you're a CASA, you cannot be a foster care review board volunteer, and that is vice versa. If you're a foster care review board volunteer, you cannot be a CASA. Because it's a smaller county, they try to eliminate any confidentiality issues or conflict of interest issues when you're getting into those smaller counties. In recruitment, if you're a person that's interested, that's great, but you can also help us recruit volunteers. So if you know anyone who is interested, whether that's a family member or a neighbor, a friend, any coworkers that you think would be interested, as well as if you belong to any organizations or churches or clubs that you think that would be aligned with our goal of advocating and supporting foster children that are in care, please get in contact with us. If you're wanting to volunteer as well, contact us, but provide that information out to the public as well. And if you have a fingerprint clearance card that is valid and active, you will not need to be fingerprinted because you have a valid and active fingerprint clearance card. But I also want to provide my contact information as well as the website and the 2 ways you can get in contact with us in our Phoenix office as well as our Tucson office. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to present the Foster Care Review Board and give awareness of our program to the community.